So what I'm going to do today, it's very overcast, it's in the fall, I'm up in the Cariboo, and what they do a lot of times when it's really overcast conditions or in the early morning when it's sunny with the fog, is these fish will take dry flies, big fluffy dry flies. There is no hatch, nothing going on. I don't know if they take it as a mouse or whatever on top of the water, but they're looking up. So I think this is the time of year, you know, it's late September, and you can pitch around on the weed edges and stuff, and you can get fish on dry flies this way. And I like to fish them when it's overcast. You can get action all day long. So I'm going to try that today as I take you on a little mini episode of Sport Fishing on the Fly, fishing dry flies today. So stay tuned.
Sport Fishing on the Fly is brought to you by Maui Jim Sunglasses, Humminbird Fish Finders, First Tellurium Corporation, and Hardy Rods and Reels.
So what I look for is I look along these weed edges where you can get a good drift. The wind's kind of blowing down here where I can just stop the motor on the boat and cast to these weed edges, and hopefully you've got the fish in tight to the weed, looking for food. And you bring it back, and a lot of times I don't know what they think it is. There's no hatch of any kind of sedge or anything here. It looks kind of like a mouse pattern, I think, more than anything, and they are just looking up. So hopefully we can find some that are going to play. Usually nice and shallow, you can see water's nice and clear along the edges, and a lot of times they'll lay in there, and again, they're looking up, especially on an overcast day like today. This is the kind of day to do it. So we'll see if we can't find some. Oh, there, I got a player. Take it along the edge. Okay. That guy ate her. Yeah, drifting along the edge of there's some nice fish holding in there on dries along the edge. Looks like a nice black water. Over here, my net. Okay. There's the dry sticking out of the corner of his mouth. Okay. A little chunkster. There he goes. Fly is out. We can see the size of let him go. You can see the size of the dry fly. It's a monster. It's big. I just leave it out in the... Let's get her along there, as you saw. Okay, I've come in a little tighter. You can see what the bottom, you probably can't see with the camera, how shallow it is in there, and they're sitting on that shallow water looking. Sometimes they're right tight into the weed. Other times they're out a little bit. I like it when there's not as much riffle. When she's dead calm. Oh, there's one. There he is. He took her. Yeah, you can see sometimes they like to just... I got him on there. Blackwater. Sitting on that shoal. Get him up here. Oh, nice fish on dries. You can put that baby out nice and chrome. Okay, let's get that fly out. Yeah, another nice little chromer. There you go, bud. Okay. Got a couple of them there. And again, this is the fly. This little fluffy little thing. I'll get it out. I don't know if you can see with that anyway. We will, maybe there'll be one tied on the bench. Who knows? Oh, there he is. Just missed a big one. And this guy came and sucked her down. Looks like a decent fish as well. Not as big as that first guy that ate it. Got off, but nice fish on dries. Oh. Yeah, the first guy was about 5 pounds, a real big one. I've got some earlier, but these little footballs are still very nice to catch on a dry. The way they come over and charge that fly. And again, I don't know what they take it for, but oh, he's wound right up. I'll have to get him unwound. Oh, oh, oh. Oh, oh, down. Okay. Just barely got him. Okay, buddy. There he is. There he is. Decent fish out of inches of water. Lots around this size in here today, but ooh. Oh, barely got it by the nib. Beautiful fish. Nice. Oh. Beautiful colors. Oh. Another nice healthy bowl. Oh. Oh, look at that guy right there. He just rose. Come on, see mine. There he is. There he is. Oh.
G'day folks, welcome back to On the Bench. Today I'm going to tie you up Deb's Sparkle Caddis. This caddis I'll be using in a week or two on the Columbia. I cannot wait. It's designed for more of the evening type of fishing with the sparkle in it. And I've sort of taken inspiration from Dawn's carpet caddis, which I'll show you in a bit. Make sure you have these materials handy before you tie the fly. So for a hook, I'm using the Mustad, the Alpha Point Classic Dry. I got these last year at the West Kootenay Fly Shop in Castlegar. They've been awesome hooks. I'm just doing a size 14. You can tie these anywhere from a size 12 to 18. For thread, I'm using Nano Silk in copper, and it's 18.0 by Semperfli. For the trailing shuck and a little bit of the wing, I'm using this Diamond Dub in tan. See, it's got the UV color in it. For the body, I'm using a green, like the Kapok dubbing, and I've actually blended it up. This is a blend of mine. You can use any green, super fine, dry fly dubbing would work. I've used this Kapok from Semperfli, and I've used the Caddis Pupa color mixed with the BWO, the Blue Wing Olive color, so about 60-40, 60 Caddis Pupa, 40 BWO. And then I've taken their new Scud dubbing in Peacock. It's got some beautiful gold sparkles in it and stuff, and I cut it into it, mixed it in a coffee grinder, and that's how I made this beautiful sparkly dry fly dubbing. And then also for the wing, I'll be using a tan CDC, a couple of feathers of that. And for the hackle, I'm going to be using Brown Grizzly by Whiting. So to begin, I've got my Nano Silk. If you're not using Nano Silk, you don't have to do this step, but I've also got some cobbler's wax, and I'm just going to run the thread in between my finger and the wax, and a little bit of wax on it to get it started on my hook a little bit easier. If you've never used Nano Silk, it's very slippery. It's also the strongest thread on the market, and I prefer using this more than anything for dry flies because it is so strong, and I don't need any head cement with it. I can just put a few half hitches in and it will hold. Snip that off, and I'm just going to bring my thread sort of right back to the bend here. Next, you can take your Antron. If you have dry fly polyurine would work good, because this is my sparkly version of the carpet caddis. I'm using this beautiful tan colored dubbing. It's like a longer dubbing, which is very nice. And I've just got a little chunk. I'm just going to tie it on. Fold it back. Like so. And then I'm going to snip it. The scissors, nice and short. So probably around, you don't want it too long, maybe a third of the size of the body. Like so. I'm just going to put that away for now, the rest of the dubbing. I'm going to be using it. Next, you can take your green dubbing, your green dry fly dubbing, so green superfine. I've got the Kapok that I blended up earlier with a little bit of the Peacock Scud, new Scud dubbing out by Semperfli. and in my coffee grinder. And I'm just gonna start to spin this onto my thread, and a nice thin noodle. My fingers are a bit dry. I'm just gonna run my fingers over some wax. There we go. I like a nice tight dubbing noodle for the kapok. Just bring it back. As you're going over, you can just tighten it if it gets loose on you. Build it up to the shape that you want. And I've left at least 2 eye lengths there for my hackle. So next I'm just going to take my CDC feathers. So I've got 2 of the tan colored CDC feathers. And to prepare them, I'm just going to take and snip the very top, just the very top of the stem out of these feathers. I don't want the stem in there. I'll show you what they look like when I'm done here. Just a little bit. So I just trim the very tip of it out. That's all. And I'm just going to marry these feathers together so that the stems match, like so. And then bring that over, and I'm just going to pull it to length. So I want it to be about the length of my other shuck, my trailing shuck, like so, and cut that out of there. Next I'm going to take the little bit of the sparkle dubbing that I have left, just a tiny amount. I'm just going to place it on top. Like so. And then clean up the head area. Straggler there I'm trying to catch. There we go. Oh, might have to cut him out of there. And now I'm just going to trim this so that's about the length of my CDC, and cut any really scraggly ones off, like this one. So, and now you can take your hackle, and to prepare the hackle, I'm just going to pull the last few barbules down here and trim on either side of the stem so that there's just a tiny bit of hackle still remaining, and that just helps your thread grip it a lot better. But I'm also going to use the wax again. I always use wax, whether it's nano silk or not, when I'm tying in a hackle. So I'm going to wax, and what I like to do is wax both sides of my thread, like so, and then I like to go over top of it a couple of times so that the wax is actually laying down on the hook already as well. I think it holds it in tighter. I'm going to shorten on my thread considerably, and then just tie my hackle in on the side here. And now you can just start turning your hackle, making sure it's right at the base of that wing. I'm probably going to get about 5 in here. On this size 14. A couple of wraps in behind and a couple in front. And before I clip that off, I'm going to take my half hitch tool and just do a couple of half hitches in here. It also keeps the hackle out of the eye of the hook, doing this method. I give it about 3, and that'll hold it. It's good and tight, good and strong thread. It's Kevlar. I'm just going to snip my hackle out of there, and then take my nano silk and pull it tight and snip it out of there. Like so. And then I'm just going to take and pull that dubbing just so it's not too scraggly, even though when the fish start biting this fly, it's going to get nice and scraggly, and then usually they work better, right? And that's it, Deb's Sparkle Caddis. So I said I would show you the fly that I took the inspiration from, which is Don's Carpet Caddis, which is right here for comparison. So he's got a little kind of a gray antron type wing and a little bit darker brown or different color brown hackle that he uses. I used this hackle last year. But anyways, that's the fly I took the inspiration from. And if you want to buy those flies, the Don's Carpet Caddis, which are absolutely killer on the Columbia River and also out in the East Kootenays where I was fishing last year as well in the streams, you can purchase them on the Sport Fishing on the Fly web store at sfotf.ca. Thanks for joining me on this edition of On the Bench. Take care, everyone. Conserve the waters and tight lines.
Oh, down in the weed, look at. Oh, he took it and went in. Oh. Oh. Well, I hope you enjoyed our little mini show, fishing dry flies in the fall against the weed beds. Usually, you know, it's only good when it's overcast, but I got lucky today. The sun came out, wind kind of came up, but they stayed up because there was a boatman fall. So they were still up looking, so I was able to do that. My buddy Ted McDonald, call him Uncle Ted, he came out. We're going to fish together tomorrow, so picked him up on the dock. We went out, we had a great afternoon of dry flies. Couldn't film them because I had the head cam on. Anyway, if you're up here in the Cariboo, it's a thing to try. It's in the fall. There's no hatches going on at all, but you use something. I don't know if they think it's a mouse or what. Big sedge along the weeds works like a charm. Anyway, take care, preserve our waters. We'll see you next time when we take you sport fishing on the